Welcome back to Goal Line Stuff, the show where we talk about anything and everything football related. I'm Alex Georgiev.
And I'm Michael San Antonio. And boy, do we have a show for you today.
So we're kind of going off the track of what we normally do. And today we're going to do a 2020 NFL redraft. Basically, that means we're going to look back on the 2020 NFL draft, knowing what we know about the players today, and redraft for these teams that may not have made the best picks. So, for example, the Raiders, 2 first-round picks, neither of them are on the team anymore. So we're going to solve that problem for them and maybe give them some better players.
Yeah, Alex and I were both super invested in going over this draft class before the 2020 NFL draft. So this is going to be a lot of fun to kind of evaluate and see which players have been good and which players haven't been so good so far in their careers. And I think this will be a lot of fun for everybody. This episode's really cool. Very excited.
And I'm going to be drafting for the odd teams. Michael's going to be drafting for the even teams.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and get us started by picking for the Cincinnati Bengals at number 1 overall. Originally, they went with Joe Burrow out of LSU, and he's been very good for them. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Justin Herbert out of Oregon has definitely been a little bit better. So instead of Burrow, they're going to have Justin Herbert, number 1 overall. He's been incredible with the Chargers. He won Rookie of the Year and broke Peyton Manning's records. Actually, I think it was Baker Mayfield's records by then.
Yeah, but it was Baker Mayfield's record for touchdowns, at least.
He was unbelievable for the Chargers and has certainly followed that up this year really well. So I think he's just going to have to be the pick at number 1 overall.
Yeah, and we're trying to stick to each of us just talking on our own picks, but for very important players or players we want to talk about, we will both, give some insight on those picks. And I'm just going to give insight on this one since it's first overall. I think that that's the right pick. Justin Herbert has been incredible so far. And I think that the Bengals would love to have him if they did a redraft right now. I think they'd love to have him. Okay. Second overall, we have Washington. Originally, they took Chase Young. And Chase Young, as you know, he had an incredible rookie season. He made a Pro Bowl. He was just great. And so, the sky looked like it was the limit for him. And then he comes into his second year, doesn't do as well, and then gets hurt. And so that's very unfortunate, although I still have them taking Chase Young. I know that's a little bit of a surprise maybe for some of you, but Chase Young has been great when he's played. I know this year he hasn't been as good, but I personally think that Washington would be better off solving their quarterback issue in free agency or just sticking with Taylor Heinicke because he's been decent. And I just think Chase Young is a generational talent. I think he'll have a great career. I'm sticking with him at number 2.
Gotta say, I don't agree with that pick, Michael. You have a chance to get a franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, and you're just going to pass that up for an edge rusher. Now, granted, edge rusher is the second most important position on the team, but just having Joe Burrow versus having Taylor Heinicke is a huge gap. So I don't know.
Luckily, I think there's more things to address than there is just quarterback for this Washington team. I think the quarterback will come. If I'm Washington GM, I'm not taking quarterback right here.
Luckily, that leaves Joe Burrow for some other teams, though.
Yeah, it does.
But not the Detroit Lions at number 3. The Detroit Lions originally selected Jeff Okudah at 3rd overall out of Ohio State. He's a cornerback, and he has been far from worthy of that selection to this point. He had a very rough rookie year in 2020, and with a chance to follow that up in 2021 and have a breakout sophomore season, he tore his Achilles in the season opener, which is not his fault. But knowing that, I don't think you can take him again at 3rd overall. So what I'm going to do for the Detroit Lions is give them the actual shutdown corner they wanted and give them A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. Because A.J. Terrell had a rough rookie year for the Falcons, but in 2021, he has been one of the sole bright spots of that Falcons team, and he's evolving into a real shutdown corner. So to have that on the boundary for the next 10, 15 years for the Lions is huge, and he can be a tone setter for that defense.
Yeah, that's a great pick there, Alex. I definitely wanted him for some of the teams lower on the list. So, yeah, I mean, great pick. I love AJ Terrell. So yeah, I like that pick. Number 4 is the New York Giants. And this is an interesting pick. They took Andrew Thomas, tackle, who a lot of people thought was maybe the best tackle. I mean, there was a lot of controversy, a lot of great tackles and guards in the draft. But yeah, I mean, they took Andrew Thomas, and he had a very rough rookie year. A lot of people were calling him a bust, which you can't do after just one season. And I think Andrew Thomas has proved this year that he's not a bust. He may not be as good as some of the other options around him, but I don't think it was an awful pick, although I'm not sticking with him. I'm going with the best offensive lineman in the draft, the best tackle in the draft, all pro last year, led the Bucks, was one of the key players on that Bucks offense when they won the Super Bowl. Tristan Wirfs, he's been incredible. And at number 4, this will really be great for the Giants to get a guy like Tristan Wirfs, who is playing at such a young age, already playing like one of the best in the league. I really love this pick.
I agree with you there, Michael. They made seemingly the wrong choice at Andrew Thomas. He's been all right, but there were so many good linemen in this class. And out of the big 4 with Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, and Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas went first, and he's been the worst one out of all of them. So that's really unlucky for the Giants fans. So to correct that issue with Tristan Wirfs and give Daniel Jones another piece on that offensive line that's been so abysmal for them could help to rejuvenate his career.
Let me interject for 1 second. I think this year, Andrew Thomas has been a little bit better than all right. I mean, he's been decent. He's probably been their best lineman so far this year, and he's taken major steps up. So I just want to give him that credit. Although I definitely don't think there's definitely better options here at offensive line for the Giants. I just wanted to say that real quick.
See, yeah, I agree with you there. Tristan Wirfs has been incredible. And even though Andrew Thomas was a solid pick, Tristan Wirfs would have been much better. So at number 5 overall, Michael, you messed up. You left me Joe Burrow to take for the Miami Dolphins at 5, where they originally went with Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama, but Joe Burrow has been so much better than Tua since they got to the NFL. And Joe Burrow broke so many records at LSU his senior season. And so to have Joe Burrow throwing to guys in the future like Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, that offense is going to be electric. It won't be as good as he's been in Cincinnati with that supporting cast they have around him, but he would make Miami an instant playoff contender, I feel, and bring them to the point where they don't have to think about trading for Deshaun Watson or trading for Russell Wilson. And that defense could take a lot of pressure off him and make his rookie year a lot easier. And he would probably be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro by now.
Yeah, I mean, I love that pick. I do not think I messed up. I am still sticking with my pick. But yeah, Burrow to the Dolphins is a great pick. Definitely better than Tua so far. I really like that from Miami. Okay, number 6. So originally at number 6, the LA Chargers got Justin Herbert, who actually went number 1 in our redraft. It's a blow, definitely not getting Justin Herbert at number 6, but I don't think they go quarterback. I honestly don't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got to think on this. Let me think for a second. This is a tough choice. Now, I do want to say I originally had a player here who I was going to take, but with so many other options still left on the board, I'm just not sure if I want to take that player now. I mean, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. As crazy as this sounds, I know. At number 6, I will be taking Justin Jefferson. And it's
really?
Like, this is not my original pick, I know. But, you know, he's just such an electric player. I think he could easily have went top 3, top 2, maybe even. He's been an historically good receiver so far in his career. And even though the Chargers have Keenan Allen, they have Mike Williams, who has not developed at this time in 2020. Right now, he's looking like a beast. But, you know, this would be one of the greatest wide receiver cores in NFL history if they got Justin Jefferson, in my opinion. And so I think, you know, I can't pass up on him. I just can't. I'm taking him number 6.
So what you're saying is you're going to give Phillip Rivers another year and then just have nothing at quarterback?
I'm going after a quarterback in free agency, and I'm taking the best offensive player in the draft, in my opinion.
Phillip Rivers would be playing that year because the free agent period is before the draft.
I'm
So
still moving on from Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is atrocious.
you have no one throwing him the ball.
I would rather draft a
Tyrod
later
Taylor?
quarterback, or I would rather pick up someone like a random quarterback in free agency. Phillip Rivers is atrocious.
You might put up a lot of points, but I don't know with that receiving core. Well, once again, you messed up and left me a franchise quarterback.
I don't know about Tua being a franchise quarterback.
The Carolina Panthers have suffered, and the fans have suffered through the last few years of post-injury Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, PJ Walker, and best of all, the Sam Darnold experience. So, to avoid all that, they're going to go Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama at 7th overall. Now, they drafted Derek Brown, a nose tackle out of Auburn originally at this pick, and he's been very good for them. He's been a real huge piece of their defense, literally. And well, that he's still a very good player, and he probably won't last much longer on the board here. The ability to have a franchise quarterback in the NFL is everything. And you can't compete with the guys I just listed with the Panthers have started the last couple of years. So to circumvent all those issues and get to have with that receiving core of DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and McCaffrey, it's just something that'll propel their offense so much higher than they have. And Matt Rule, I think, is a good play caller. So to have him get an actual quarterback is massive. And so that's what I think they do at 7th overall.
Yeah, I like that pick. Like I said, I mean, I was debating taking Tua there, but I just think Justin Jefferson is a special player. I had to take him. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to move on to number 8. Originally at number 8, the Arizona Cardinals took Isaiah Simmons, a player who I thought was going to be maybe the best player in the draft, and he has not lived up to those expectations. But this year and a little bit of last year, I mean, he showed his talent. He's a good player. I think he probably will go at some point in this first round. I'm not going to spoil. I don't know where he's going. We'll see. But definitely not at number 8. I think the Cardinals definitely have to take someone else here. And there are a lot of good linemen still left that I would want to take, but the Cardinals line has been pretty good this year. And I think I'm more focused right now on the trenches when looking at what I think the Cardinals would potentially need. And I'm going to take a player who actually went in real life a pick before this pick. I'm going to take Derek Brown, D-tackle. He hasn't been spectacular, but he showed some promise. He's a good player. I definitely think that he would improve that defensive line a lot for the Cardinals, and I like that pick. I mean, Derek Brown's not my favorite player, but I can't pass up on him at 8.
I got to say, I do love that pick for them. I don't know that there's any other player that would be a better fit with them than Derek Brown at that spot.
Yeah.
So I gotta congratulate you on that one. So 9th overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars had their first pick out of 2, and originally they drafted CJ Henderson out of Florida, who I was really high on coming out of the draft. I thought he would be a shutdown corner, but he's not even on the team anymore. He's been going through a lot of issues. He hasn't played much. He's been injured. So to fix that for them, I'm going to have them drafting Trevon Diggs, the cornerback out of Alabama. Wow. Diggs has been very up and down so far. He is the NFL league leader in interceptions this year and has really broken out as one of the top ball hawks in the NFL. But he is also prone to getting burnt a little bit every now and then. But I think to replace Jalen Ramsey and get a real leader for that defense, Trevon Diggs is very vocal. So to have someone like that, have that be your most talented player on the defense, I think that's huge for Jacksonville. And after losing Jalen Ramsey and all of that 2017 defense, a huge underrated part of that defense in 2017, they were the best defense, the most talented defense, but they were also tone setters. Like, they were the leaders of that team. So I think if they want to get back to that kind of swagger, Saxonville, I think they need someone like a Trevon Diggs. So I think that's the best pick for them at 9th overall.
Alex, I agree with you there. I love that pick. I wanted to take him a little bit later with another team, but you can't go wrong with getting Trevon Diggs, who you could argue is an elite corner. I mean, he's such a good ball hawk. He picks the ball off. He makes big plays. He's what Jacksonville needs, and it's what they didn't get in CJ Henderson. It's too bad that didn't work out with CJ Henderson. He's a talented player, but Yeah, I definitely love Trevon at number 9. At number 10, we have the Cleveland Browns, who originally took Jedrick Wills Jr., tackle, and from Alabama. And Jedrick Wills was a guy I liked a lot, and just a guy I still like a lot. I think the Browns' offensive line has been very good over the last couple of years, and I don't think that there's anything that I don't think there's anything that they want to do to ruin that in this redraft. I think they want to keep Jedrick Wills here at number 10 overall, keep that run game going strong with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. And yeah, Jedrick Wills has the potential to become a really elite tackle if he could just continue progressing as a player.
Yeah, I don't think there's much we can argue with that. Jedrick Wills was a huge piece in the Browns making their deep playoff run last year, and protecting Baker Mayfield should be their number one priority. We've seen how bad he can be with all these injuries. So keeping him upright is the number one priority and the most important thing for the Browns right now, and leaving him time to find his receivers. So Jedrick Wills definitely gives them the best chance to do that out of the players left.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great pick. With number 11, speaking of tackles going to the same team they originally went to, I'm going to have the Jets taking Mekhi Becton out of Louisville at number 11th overall, just like they did in real life. Mekhi Becton, he's had some injury struggles since he got into the league, but when he's healthy, he's been dominant. He is a very good player, and especially keeping when the draft their quarterback. They got Zach Wilson. Maybe they don't get him in this alternate universe next year, but right now we're saying as if it's their team now. So having Mekhi Becton protecting Zach Wilson's blind side, especially with the amount of struggles Zach Wilson has shown to have with pressure since he got into the NFL, having Mekhi Becton is really important for the Jets. And so that seems like the only sensible pick to me at 11th overall.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Mekhi Becton is huge. He's a great player. He has I think the potential to be one of the best players on the offensive line through the whole league. I think he has the potential to be a real superstar. We just need to see him play. And I think the Jets made the right pick originally, and I like how you kept him there. I would have taken him next if you didn't take him. So, yeah, I like that pick a lot at 11 for the Jets. And then we look at pick number 12 for the Raiders. Originally, they took Henry Ruggs, and I think we all know what happened there. I'm not going to talk about that much. I mean, he was developing great. I really liked him before everything happened. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, he was a good pick, though, originally, in my opinion. But I think there was a better pick there later, a better receiver later, who I think that the Raiders would benefit greatly from having right now, and that is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb,
big.
I'm taking at 12th overall to the Raiders, and you can't deny the talent that CeeDee Lamb has. Even as an Eagles fan, he's just incredible, and I hate that the Cowboys have him. I hate that they have him. He is really showing top 10 receiver, top 10. He's showing the potential to be a top 10 receiver in the league. I think he might even be one right now. And he's just so skilled. He's someone that the Raiders could use day one. I think he would have been way better in his rookie year than Henry Ruggs was for the Raiders. So, yeah, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb at 12th overall.
That is an awesome pick because CeeDee Lamb has proven that he can be the alpha receiver on a team. And that's the one type of receiver I think the Raiders are sorely lacking. And they were even with Henry Ruggs still on their team. So CeeDee Lamb can bring that to them, play the slot, play outside. And I think he is a true number one receiver on a team in the NFL. So that's a great pick for them. Next, I have Tampa Bay at number 13, where they originally drafted Tristan Wirfs. Now, he's not on the board anymore. He got drafted number 4th overall. And none of the really great tackles are available anymore, which that was their number one priority, keeping Tom Brady upright. And so I could draft someone like Michael Onwenu, but he's mainly a guard, and he struggled a little bit in 2021. So I'm going to go a different direction with Tampa Bay at number 13th overall, and I'm going to give them Julian Blackmon, safety out of Stanford, I believe. And he's been awesome for the Colts. I believe he's out for the year right now, but before that, he was a big piece in one of the top defenses in the NFL. And the Bucs proved they needed a safety by drafting Antoine Winfield in the second. I think Julian Blackmon is better than Antoine Winfield. So having that kind of upgrade when you don't have the ability to draft one of the top tackles that was their secondary need with the young corners they have, Sean Murphy Bunting and Mike Edwards. So to have that kind of tone setter on your secondary, I think is huge for the Bucks and is one of the only sensible picks that you have at 13th overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I like the pick. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that you took him, but I like the pick. I'm not arguing with it. I think that's a good pick. Yeah.
Utah he played at, not Stanford. My
Hmm.
mistake.
Okay. Pick number 14. The San Francisco 49ers took Javon Kinlaw, D tackle from South Carolina, a guy who I think a lot of people liked a lot. And we just haven't seen much of him. I mean, he really has just not done much over, 2 seasons. He has 1.5 sacks over 2 seasons. It's a guy who you thought would come in right away and be very good. There were some injury concerns with him coming in, so that's something they obviously had to monitor. But still, I mean, Javon Kinlaw has been somewhat of a disappointment so far. He's a guy who I don't think is going to be in the first round in this redraft, and so we're going to flip the switch and we're going to go from a defensive player who they actually took, and I'm going to take an offensive player. This may surprise you, Alex. It may not. The Niners over the last 3 years have been one of the most run-heavy teams in the league,
Oh boy.
and they don't have an elite running back. And it's not like they need an elite running back, but I think that they could just, get rid of all their, committee stuff going on, get rid of all the injury. Mostert's gotten injured. They've had to get Sermon in and start him a little bit. I think they could just bypass all of that and take an incredible running back here at 14, Jonathan Taylor. And, I know there's other options here that are great, but I just love Jonathan Taylor. I think that Kyle Shanahan could use him creatively in this offense. I think he's a guy who needs to go top 20 just based off how insane he's been this season. He's incredible. So I'm giving him to 14. I'm taking him at 14 with the San Francisco 49ers pick.
I don't like that, Michael. I don't like that. The whole thing with the Niners to me is that their system is so good. They have this incredible zone run system. So I don't think they have a need for someone that's as crazy talented as Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, it would help, but with the Niners, they've proven that they can kind of just put anyone back there and anyone can have a successful game. Eli Mitchell is some 6th round nobody. Not to take away from Eli Mitchell. He's very, very talented and very good. But ultimately, he's just some guy, 6th round pick, and he's putting up monster numbers for them. He's been incredible this season. Tevin Coleman had like a 200-yard rush game for them a couple years ago, the year they went to the Super Bowl. Jerick McKinnon even played decent for them before they got rid of him. So I think it's a little bit of a wasted pick there to get Jonathan Taylor. I personally would have looked to target a receiver. You still have some very good receivers on the board, and or even another defensive lineman, maybe a corner. They've been very thin at corner these last couple of years, ever since they got rid of Richard Sherman. So I don't know. I just don't think Jonathan Taylor is the right pick there. Speaking of those receivers, did you want to say
Let
something?
me interject real quick. So I did think of all of that when I was going into this pick. First off, I just want to say I think Jonathan Taylor is just incredible. So that was something I took into consideration. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys you could put in a committee. Eli Mitchell for 1 year, 2 years might be decent, but I don't think he's a long-term solution. And it's not like the Niners are doing great or anything right now. That they're struggling immensely and they need offensive weapons. Yeah, they have Debo. Yeah, Eli Mitchell's having a good year. Yeah, Kittle's good when he's healthy, but they need guys who you could trust 24/7. And I don't think this offense or defense is quite cutting it right now in a division that, you need to win 10, 11 games to even 10, 11, 12 maybe even to make the playoffs. So I just think that, changing things up a little bit, maybe changing the offense around a little bit, getting Jonathan Taylor the ball 25 times a game, I think that would help any team, and I like it for the 49ers here. I just wanted to say that quickly. You could go on to your pick. I know you disagree with me, but yeah,
I
I love Jonathan
most certainly disagree. And yeah, just like I was saying for the Niners, there's some very good receivers on the board at this point.
But they
And
don't like to pass it that much. This is what I'm saying.
I feel a receiver would make their offense a lot more dynamic.
Debo Samuel
They
already
have
makes their
Debo,
offense so
but
dynamic.
outside of Debo and Kittle, they have nothing at this point because they don't have Ayuk at this point because they didn't draft him yet. And so I think another receiver, which they obviously felt they needed the same thing when they drafted Ayuk.
Well,
I don't know. I don't see Jonathan Taylor being the right pick here.
Yeah, you could disagree with that, but I'm just saying, they have another pick later in the first round where I definitely think they will target receiver. And they're a team who, there's so many good receivers in this draft. I think Jonathan Taylor is the standalone best running back. I get if you think it may be not the best pick, but I personally like the pick. I think he would do very well in a Kyle Shanahan run offense, just focused around him.
Especially with the caliber of running back class this was, there's so many good running backs left.
Is there
There's
another Jonathan Taylor in this draft class? There's not.
No, there's not, but there's still so many other good players. There's DeAndre Swift, there's J.K. Dobbins, there's Cam Akers, there's Antonio Gibson.
I
There,
I
I
think
just don't get
Jonathan
it. I
Taylor
don't see
is
it.
I don't know. I think Jonathan Taylor is proving on the Colts right now that he is a one-man wrecking horse. Yeah, Wentz is playing good, but look at
Uh,
the O-line and the team that they've assembled. The Colts are really taking things up a level, and they pretty much only have Jonathan Taylor on offense right now.
Horse Colts. That's a good one, Michael. That's a good one.
I didn't even realize I did that, but I know we disagree. I understand your argument. You do have some valid points. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to agree on this, but yeah, I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he'd be great with the 49ers.
Hey, agree to disagree. And just like we were talking about with the Niners, there are still some very good receivers on the board. Where the Denver Broncos originally took Jerry Jeudy at 15th overall, and he's still on the board, but he is not who I'm going to take at this pick. Overall, left on the board receiver wise, I'd say T. Higgins is probably the best one left, but I don't think I'm going to take him for Denver because Denver already has Cortland Sutton, and I think Cortland Sutton and T. Higgins are a little redundant. I think they're very similar players, big body X receiver types. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take not Jerry Judy either. I'm gonna go Darnell Mooney, who was originally a fifth round pick, but has proven to be so much more. I think that Darnell Mooney, if he didn't have the jumble of Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and Justin Fields throwing him the ball up till now, would be on the level of 1,000-yard receiver and one of the most talked about best young receivers in the NFL. But unfortunately for him, the situation he got put in with Chicago has held him back from doing that. Now, the situation in Denver, quarterback wise, is not at all much better than that. They've had Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater throwing the ball, but I think Darnell Mooney could definitely help them, succeed more with Cortland Sutton being on his other side. And so Darnell Mooney, he's proven to be a great deep threat and a great route runner who can just get open and provide big plays for an offense. And I think that's what Denver lacks. I think Judy is the type of receiver that they need another deep threat next to him. Judy's kind of a mid-range guy he's a really great route runner, but I don't see him as much of a deep threat. So I think that having Mooney to open up the offense that they lack right now can really make their offense a lot more explosive. Plus, they're good defense. They always have a good defense with Patrick Surtain now. And so Darnell Mooney would be huge for that defense. And then maybe they could look to upgrade quarterback in free agency or in the draft another year or two later.
Yeah, I am not the biggest fan of this pick. I love Darnell Mooney. I think there may have been some better options here, but I don't think Darnell Mooney's the best receiver left on the board. But I do like what you said about the deep threat situation. I do think that Darnell Mooney offers something that none of the other receivers left on the board do. So I get your point with that. I was actually planning on taking him, maybe Green Bay. That would be the ultimate division rival craziness if I took him at 26 with Green Bay or maybe another team, Philadelphia, Minnesota, one of those. I thought he was going to go around that range. I'm not surprised you took him at 15. He's great. I think he fell under both of our radars going into the draft, but come week 3, week 4, even when he wasn't producing in his rookie year, I think both of us could see just how good of a route runner and player he was, even without getting the catches that he's starting to get now. So, yeah, definitely a guy who is great, and he could definitely really help that Denver offense if they took him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you saw those clips of Darnell Mooney wide open and Nick Foles just overthrowing him painfully last year.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that hurt to watch. That hurt to watch, even as much as we love Nick Foles. Ah,
Yeah, I remember week 3 last year. I I'm pretty sure Foles was the start. Who was the starter? Was Trubisky?
Trubisky started the first few games, and then Nick Foles played.
Yeah, but I can't remember if Trubisky was still in week three. Someone was in week three, and I remember Mooney only had like three catches for 35 yards. But I remember as soon as I saw him play, I was like, this kid's special. And I looked him up, did some more research on him, and yeah, ever since then I've been in love with him. So
Yeah, you remember I was trying to pry him from you in our Dynasty Fantasy Football League all year last year.
yeah, and I still have him. So I mean, very happy about that. Uh, but yeah, I don't think there's much more we could say about Darnell Mooney. Not my favorite pick, but I definitely like it. I see where you're going with. Yeah. At 16, originally the Atlanta Falcons took AJ Terrell, and I liked that pick originally, but I didn't research AJ Terrell that much, so I didn't realize that I didn't think he was going to turn into this lockdown corner. He's been great, and so it's definitely a loss for them to not have him here at 16 right now. And especially the Falcons, they're a franchise that just needs these good players on it, and they just don't have them. So there's a lot of directions I could go with this pick. And you may be kind of surprised. I mean, I don't know. This is a tough situation for me to go, but or this pick is a tough situation, but I definitely do think that the Falcons need help on the defensive side of the ball, and specifically their secondary isn't the best. So I'm going to take a safety here, and they could do a lot of stuff with the safety. We talked about him earlier a little bit, but Antoine Winfield Jr. has been a great pick for the Bucks in the second round. He was a second rounder. I think taking him here at 16 could do a lot for the Falcons. I don't think he's the best player left on the board, but I do think that he's a player that the Falcons would love to have on their team and on their defense. I don't know how you're going to feel about this one, Alex. I want to hear your thoughts.
I think that's a solid pick. The Falcons definitely need safety help and secondary help, that is, but I think they need secondary help in the form of a corner. So I personally would have looked to target someone like Jalen Johnson, maybe Cam Dantzler. But Winfield does have some flexibility. I think Winfield can play in the slot too. So to have maybe a L'Jarius Sneed, you could have had them take. So to have someone like that, I think would have been a little bit better of a pick. But Antoine Winfield is a very talented player, as we saw him prove it on the national stage last year, the biggest stage. He was incredible during the Super Bowl run and in the Super Bowl itself. So to have someone like that is really big for the Falcons defense. They are losing a shutdown corner in AJ Terrell. And so replacing him with another corner, I feel would have been better. But Antoine Winfield is definitely a good pick, and I'm not going to take anything away from that.
Fair. I think he's better than the corners that you listed just as a player, so that's why I went with him. But I do see what you're saying there with the corner. Yeah.
So after that, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 17th overall. They originally stole CeeDee Lamb from the Eagles.
Yep. Unfortunately.
But they fortunately can't do the same thing in this universe because CeeDee Lamb went 12th overall.
Alex, can you please get them Jalen Reagor right here, please?
Yes, they're going to take Jalen Reagor. Just kidding, obviously. But another thing in this universe is that they also had Trevon Diggs stolen from them. So they're lacking in defense. And the big thing about that pick in 2020 at the time was that why did they take a receiver when they already had Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and they had such glaring needs on the defensive side? And so to solve that, they drafted Trevon Diggs in the second, which turned out to be an amazing pick, but they can't do that now. So they're going to have to focus on defense now. And to do that, I'm going to have them taking Xavier McKinney, who has really come on as of late for the New York Giants. And I think he would be huge for the Cowboys. So to have someone like that in the secondary, he's good against the run. He's a good ball hawk, and he's good in coverage. He just does everything a safety does very effectively. He's quietly very good. And so Dallas needs someone like that. They don't have the flashy Trevon Diggs anymore, but they 100% needed secondary at the time. So I think Xavier McKinney is the best selection for them at this point.
I don't know if I love that pick too much. I do like McKinney. I think there's some defensive players that are better still left on the board who will definitely come off soon. But yeah, I mean, McKinney is a guy who would definitely help out a team like the Cowboys, especially when they don't have Diggs anymore. They need another electric defensive player. So Yeah, that pick's not awful. He would definitely give a lot of help in the secondary. Yeah, but that's all I really have to say about that.
All right.
Okay. Number 18. We have the Miami Dolphins taking Austin Jackson in real life. This is what happened in 2020. Tackle out of USC. This was a guy who a lot of people thought was a reach, and so far it's proven that this was a reach pick. I mean, Austin Jackson isn't horrible. I think if in this redraft, if we did more than just one round, I think he would probably go in the second or third, at least in my opinion, probably in the second. Maybe he'll sneak into the first. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking, Alex. I probably won't take him in the first, but he hasn't been great. And, the Dolphins still do need a tackle without Austin Jackson. And there's a guy who was drafted in 2020 way before this, who I think that the Dolphins take here. I think they take Andrew Thomas. I talked about him a little bit earlier. He's had a very much improved second sophomore year. The Dolphins do have some other needs, but defense is pretty solid. They have some weapons. I do think they have Joe Burrow now in this redraft. So I think getting a solid tackle to protect Joe Burrow is the number one priority, and Andrew Thomas is that tackle.
I agree with you there. I think that even though they had 3 first-round picks that year, and they kind of wasted them, to be honest.
They did.
Austin Jackson has not looked like a very good player at all. Noah Igbenogany was a complete luxury pick at 30 and has not even been good in his position at slot corner. So to get someone that's definitely a bigger contributor than those guys in Andrew Thomas is really big for the Dolphins, who are suddenly struggling this year unexpectedly after everybody thought they'd be a playoff contender. Now they're 5-7. So I think maybe with Andrew Thomas, maybe they win a couple more games. So
yeah,
good pick. At number 19, the Las Vegas Raiders are picking again. And originally they went with Damon Arnett, a corner out of Ohio State, who, funny enough, is also not on their team anymore. Great draft, Raiders. Neither first round pick on the team anymore. And so originally they went receiver DB at 12 and 19, and it looks like they're going to do the same thing here again, because we have them taking CD Lamb at 12, and now to replace Damon Arnett and get an outside corner, I think I'm going to have them taking L'Jarius Sneed, who was originally drafted as a safety, but last year with the Chiefs, he proved that he was a very good corner and had an awesome season last year. I don't know that he's done that much this year as he did last year, but he's still a very good player. And I think the Raiders could really benefit from having someone like that, because Damon Arnett was really bad before they cut him last year, especially in that Dolphins game, week 16 last year, where Fitzpatrick completed that outrageous pass to Mac Hollins. Damon Arnett completely blew that coverage, and Damon Arnett was just constantly getting toasted. So maybe L'Jarius Sneed doesn't blow that play. Maybe the Raiders win a couple more games, and maybe L'Jarius Sneed plays on the outside for the next 5-10 years for them.
Yeah, I actually like that pick a lot. L'Jarius Sneed has been very solid for the Kansas City Chiefs, and definitely they should have taken him over Damon Arnett. I mean, Damon Arnett is a disaster of a pick, maybe the worst pick in the first round. There's not much more to say about that. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed definitely would be a solid contributor to the Raiders defense. I love that pick.
Damon Arnett was definitely not the worst pick in the first round, by the way. I'll get to that. I have the pick that actually was the worst one. I'll get to that.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It's okay. But yeah, anyway, I think he was the worst pick. But yeah, at 20, the Jaguars in real life took K'Lavon Chaisson, who just has not done anything. In fact, I'm pretty sure, he's hurt right now, isn't he? I just want to make sure real quick. Is K'Lavon Chaisson hurt, or is he just not playing? No, he's not hurt. So he is playing, although he is not a starter right now. He is being rotated in as, second string. He just hasn't been that great so far in his career. He was a guy who a lot of people liked. I mean, going into it, and he was a guy who I was never too high on coming out of LSU. I mean, talented player, but I didn't love him in the draft, and I don't think he's really done much for Jacksonville to want to redraft him here, or for any other team in the first round to want to redraft him or draft him in the first place. instead, I'm going to take a player who hasn't gone yet, who I'm actually kind of surprised hasn't gone yet. A guy who, like I said earlier, I thought was going to be maybe one of the best players in the draft. A guy you could place at linebacker, at safety, anywhere, good in coverage, good at everything. Isaiah Simmons. And yeah, the Jaguars do have Miles Jack. They have some good linebackers. But like I said, you could place him anywhere. I mean, the Jaguars defense is abysmal for the most part. The whole team is abysmal. Getting a guy like Isaiah Simmons could be huge for them. Maybe he develops better on the Jaguars than he does on the Cardinals. I think at 20, I don't think there's any better player than Isaiah Simmons left on the board. And I think the Jaguars just have to take the best available and work with what they have. I think Isaiah Simmons could still be a great player, even on the Cardinals, if he can, just get more snaps and, progress a little bit in some areas that he needs to improve in.
I gotta say, I like that pick, but I'm not too sure. I think Jeremy Chin was definitely in consideration for that pick, and I think Jeremy Chin, they're very similar players in that they play safety and linebacker, but I think Jeremy Chin has shown a little bit more, actually a lot of bit more.
Jeremy Chin's been better,
drafted.
but I
You're
don't
going
think
with the
you could
potential
pass
of
up
Simmons.
on what?
You're going with the potential of Simmons.
Yeah, the potential, like I said, I mean, I still, maybe just because my original take, I don't want to back down. I don't know. I mean, for whatever reason, I'm going Isaiah Simmons. I love what Jeremy Chin's done so far, but Simmons has just, I think he could still progress into the defensive player that I thought he would originally be.
I can respect it. So next we have our hometown Eagles.
Oh God.
Who drafted the spectacular talent known as Jalen Reagor, originally here at number 21. And I'm going to go ahead and spoiler alert, they're not taking him again. But they're going to go in back in the same position and grab another receiver. Now, the real debate here is whether they get T. Higgins or Jerry Jeudy. They're two different types of receivers, as I mentioned earlier. I think T. Higgins is more of the X receiver, the big body guy, the possession guy, whereas Jerry Jeudy, he's more of a do-it-all kind of guy. And I think for the Eagles' needs, I'm going to go ahead and take T. Higgins because they did get some deep threats later. They got Quez Watkins in the 6th round of this same draft. So I think that the combination of T. Higgins and Quez Watkins is a better synergy than Jerry Jeudy and Quez Watkins. Even though Quez Watkins isn't all that much of a player yet, I think T. Higgins definitely fits better with what the Eagles need to do. And especially if we have them getting Devontae Smith the next year, then him and Jerry Jeudy are a little bit redundant. So I think T. Higgins fits a lot better. And T. Higgins has been very good for the Bengals. Even though they drafted Jamar Chase again in the 2021 NFL draft, then I think T. Higgins is still a very good player on the Bengals. And so I think he would do very well with the Eagles, even with Carson Wentz throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I love this pick. T. Higgins is a guy I've liked for a while, and I just wish we took him or just someone else over Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, anybody. I don't think Rager's a bust yet. He looks like a bust. But give him a little bit of time. Okay.
He's had plenty of time.
Yes, he's had time, but Devontae Adams looked like he wasn't going to develop into anything his first 2 years. He didn't look good. He had a bunch of drops. So let's just give Reagor some time.
Did you just compare Jalen Reagor to Devontae Adams?
Devontae Adams was awful his first couple years.
Did you just compare Jalen Reagor to Devontae Adams?
Okay. I don't think Jalen Reagor is gonna. I don't think he's gonna develop into anything like crazy. But I'm just saying, as an Eagles fan, I want to give Jalen Reagor one more opportunity, and I'm not happy with him. But
as also an Eagles fan, you're wrong.
We need to give him one more chance, Alex. There's nothing else we could do, and I don't think he'll prove us wrong. But I'm just saying, I mean, he deserves one more chance just because he's so fast. He was so talented coming out of college. And hopefully things turn around. I don't think they will, but love the pick of T. Higgins there. And yeah, at 22, the Minnesota Vikings took, in my opinion, like I said, the best offensive player in the draft. Herbert, debatable. I'm not going to talk about that. But Justin Jefferson has been spectacular. One of my favorite players in the NFL. He put up 1,400 yards as a rookie. There's not much more to say there. So not getting him here at 22, not getting potentially the biggest deal in the draft at 22 is rough for the Vikings, a team who has not had a lot go right in recent years. I know they had that
Mhm.
playoff run in 2019, but still, not a lot has gone right. I do think they still need a wide receiver here, though. And yeah, they still need a wide receiver. I was originally planning to take a guy like maybe T. Higgins here. I just don't know. I mean, I got to think about this real quick. You took Higgins. I think that was, I was thinking about taking him there. I'm going to take a receiver, and I think, as weird as it is, I think I'm going to go Michael Pittman Jr. here.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah, I know. I really like him, and he
I
has
disagree. Go ahead. Go ahead.
he's been good. You may not agree with the pick, but I think there's just not much more they could do. I mean, it's either him or Claypool here, and in my opinion, and I just think Pittman's the better receiver. I think you just go with the talent,
Uh,
in my
I
opinion.
I agree in the sense that Pittman and Claypool are kind of equal, but I also think that Jerry Judy is above both of them, and I think Jerry Judy is the very like correct pick here because Jerry Judy and Justin Jefferson, I don't know, maybe like kind of in terms of skill set, they're kind of similar in what they do, not like the level of their skills, but in the term of what they do. You know what I mean? So I
I
think
get what you're saying. I don't think I'm as high on Jerry Judy as a lot of other people. He's been very good. He's a great route runner. He's very shifty. He's fast. But I mean, I don't like the way Denver's utilized him, and I haven't seen enough where I think that I could take him over Pittman, even if he is a lot like Justin Jefferson. I think Pittman has just a very underrated receiver in this draft class. He's been great this year. Maybe you could argue he's been one of the best receivers in this draft class, at least this season. He's been incredible. So I mean, they need a receiver here, and I know we disagree about which one, but yeah, I'm taking Pittman.
all right, well, I agree to disagree again. Now I have the Chargers at number 23, and coming into this, we did a little list of who we're targeting, so we don't sound completely stupid when we actually end up doing this. And so on my target list, I had them taking a lineman or maybe a defensive player. But since you went ahead and took Justin Jefferson 6 overall instead of a quarterback, my hands are kind of tied here, and so I'm gonna have to end up taking Jalen Hurts at 23 overall, which I don't know that I'm in love with that pick. But in who else are they gonna have throwing him the ball? Tyrod Taylor, Philip Rivers. You said they're moving on from Philip Rivers, so in this situation, I think Hurts is the correct pick to make here. Hurts has not shown much as a passer, but maybe if he has actual weapons to throw to, such as Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Michael Williams, and now Justin Jefferson too. Maybe Jalen Hurts turns into an actual NFL franchise quarterback, and so that I think that has to be the pick here at 23 for the Chargers.
I would just like to say, I had some help with this. Alex had some help with this pick. I actually messaged him a little while ago and said, take Jalen Hurts. Yeah, no, I wish I had that pick.
I would like to say that I wrote down Hurts for the Chargers as soon as you took Justin Jefferson at 6th.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I could have figured that, but my brain didn't process it that quickly because that wasn't my pick to have. But I wish it was because I would have done the same thing, and I also would have explained how they need him. I think with an offense with Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, all the other weapons the Chargers have, I think they'd be very dangerous. But yeah, I mean, I like that pick. I mean, like I said, I would have taken that too. 24, the Saints took Cesar Ruiz, center, who hasn't been awful, but he hasn't been great. He's just, center. They needed a center, so that's why they took him. And I mean, I could keep this pick. I mean, Cesar Ruiz, he's really nothing special. I don't know if he should be a first rounder, but there's really not much center talent in this draft at all. There's really none. I mean, you could wait next year and try to get like a Creed Humphrey, who's been incredible, but I don't think I want to go center as rough as it is. I think, they could have probably gotten Cesar Ruiz a little bit later if they wanted to. I don't think he's been anything crazy. And with the recent developments of Michael Thomas just, being hurt, and he's definitely going to leave. I think the Saints need a weapon here. They really need a weapon. I mean, Deontay Harris is fast, but his hands are not good. Callaway is nothing crazy. Kamara can't just do everything. I mean, he can't do everything himself. So, I mean, Saints, the post Drew Brees Saints, I think, need another weapon. And I mean, I did not take Jerry Jeudy for the Vikings. I think Jerry Jeudy to the Saints is a great pick. Like you said, I mean, he does a lot. I think route running, just everything in general. I think it may be a rough year or two with Jerry Jeudy, just like what it was with the Broncos. But, I think Jerry Judy's the right pick here. I think he could definitely be an X factor if the Saints can find someone to throw him the ball. And yeah, I'm not going to back down. I think Jerry Jeudy there is the right pick.
That's really frustrating, Michael, because I was so ready to run up to the theoretical podium and draft Jerry Jeudy to the Niners at pick 25.
But I mean, that would have been a nice pairing because I know you love the Niners and Trey Lance and everything. So that would have been a bright future, but had to spoil it there.
It is a great pick for the Saints because, as we've seen in recent weeks, the Saints with no Michael Thomas and no Alvin Kamara are a dumpster fire, no matter who's throwing them the ball. So to have a Jerry Jeudy as a number 2 guy there that can become a number 1 guy once Michael Thomas leaves, which I believe he also is going to leave after this season, I think Jerry Jeudy is a miracle pairing for him to last this long and end up with New Orleans. I think that's an awesome pick. And like I was talking about earlier, where I was going to take him to the Niners, I think at 25th overall, I'm going to have the Niners doing what they did at 25th overall in real life and sticking with Brandon Ayuk, who I believe is the best receiver left on the board. I think Brandon Ayuk is
Chase Claypool. Sorry.
No. I disagree. I disagree. I think
Okay.
Brandon Ayuk is the best receiver left on the board. He's the most versatile. And we saw once Debo went down last year, Brandon Ayuk really broke out. And in the last couple of weeks, after starting the season really poorly and in Shanahan's doghouse, which is very questionable to me to begin with, but after that really awful start to the season, the last couple of weeks, Brandon Ayuk has been really good for the Niners. And ultimately, I think his fit in Shanahan's system is still just way too good and a lot better than someone like a Chase Claypool. So I think Brandon Ayuk is still the right pick for the Niners at 25.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Well, I do think Claypool's a better receiver. Ayuk fits the scheme much better and the system much better than a Chase Claypool would. He creates separation better, at least. I mean, he's more of a threat in the type of offense that the Niners use. So I do think that that's the right pick, although I don't like Ayuk. I think, it was a sign that he was getting benched almost in the beginning of the year. I just don't know how I feel about him, but I don't think there's many other good options there at receiver left because we've really pretty much taken all of them. So yeah, that's not a bad pick at all for the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. At 26, in real life, we had Green Bay who took Jordan Love, and they took him to be kind of the heir to Aaron Rodgers. They took him to take over, and that obviously has not happened. Aaron Rodgers is not, I mean, he is leaving soon, but it's, it's his choice to leave because, the Packers screwed up. The Packers screwed up with this pick. They should not have taken Jordan Love here at 26. I still think he could be good. I don't know. I don't think they should have taken him originally. I don't think they should have. And this is kind of a tough pick for me because I put 3 guys down who I think the Packers should have taken here instead of Jordan Love, and they've all been drafted. So, this is going to be kind of me improvising a little bit. We got to see where I'm going to go with this, and I'm actually going to go, so this is more of a best player available type thing. I don't know how much they need this player per se, but I'm going to go best player available. And like I said, I don't really think they need this player, but I just, for the sake of the Packers, I love this player personally. I think even if he is not the starter right away, because they have already a good player, playing position like that. But I think this player is just so talented. I'm going to take him here for my own sake because I love this player. So I'm just going to say that. 26, you're going to disagree, but I'm taking Patrick Queen, linebacker. And I wanted a receiver. I wanted a Darnell Mooney. He was taken. I wanted a safety. I wanted, McKinney, some other players, but they all were taken. So I think Patrick Queen, in my opinion, is the next best defensive player. Like I said, they have good linebackers. So, this isn't like a pick. They're not picking what position they need, but they're taking just the best player available left on the draft board, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't think this is a great pick in my opinion, but I think Patrick Queen's just such a good player. I can't resist here at 26.
I honestly don't hate that. You see the kind of impact that Devondre Campbell has had for them this season. So to have a player of the caliber of Patrick Queen manning the inside of their defense, I think would be huge for them. And they've had a little bit of defensive struggles since that this draft, and so I think Patrick Queen would actually be pretty darn good fit for a pretty darn good fit for the Packers. So yeah.
Good save there.
Next at 27th overall for Seattle, there are some pretty good players left, but I think that they originally drafted Jordan Brooks, a linebacker out of Texas Tech, for them, and I don't think he's been all that good for them. So I think what they're going to do, especially with all the struggles that Russell Wilson has had these last couple of years, are very largely based on the offensive line. And me saying that and then picking the guy I'm picking here is going to sound a little hypocritical because I'm drafting Damian Lewis, who's an offensive guard who got drafted by Seattle in real life, but he's been one of the few bright spots on that offensive line. The Seattle offensive line is failing in spite of Damian Lewis. So I think Damian Lewis, getting him a little earlier than they did before, because theoretically he'd be off the board before their next pick. After knowing what we know, he's a very good guard, and so I think they need him. I also could have looked to go defense here because their defense has been bad since the Legion of Boom left. But I think Damian Lewis has to be the pick here.
I don't hate that. He has been one of the bright spots for that Seattle team. So yeah, definitely a better pick than Jordan Brooks. Definitely a better pick than Jordan Brooks. Yeah, not much more to say on that. At 28, in real life, Baltimore got Patrick Queen. It stinks that I took him 2 picks earlier because I probably would have taken him here again if I didn't. Because he's just, I would have taken him here again. He's that good. He's a great linebacker. I'm surprised maybe that he didn't go earlier, but yeah, I mean, at 28, Baltimore has some places to address, some positions to address, but this is another pick you may not like, but I'll justify it. At 28, I will be taking running back DeAndre Swift. And, I know running backs in general, just taking them early just is never the right move, it seems like. But DeAndre Swift here is a little bit different because you'll be using him as a receiver as well out of the backfield. He's a guy who will be out there every play. You could really use him however you want. He can run routes. He could, get some inside carries, even though he's not that big. He's a guy who I think that is better than J.K. Dobbins. I think he's easily the second best running back in the draft. He had to go first round, and I think Baltimore is a very good team. They're very run heavy. Lamar would love him. He would easily turn into maybe Lamar's favorite weapon. I mean, just, little checkdowns here and there. But yeah, I love DeAndre Swift. I think Baltimore could use him very creatively. And so it may not be the most needed pick, but I think that you could honestly not take Bateman in 2021 draft. You can really not even go after Sammy Watkins. Maybe just, I don't know, if getting a DeAndre Swift could totally transform that offense for you. So
it's funny. I was totally going to message you to take Swift with the Chiefs pick where they got Clyde Allaire, but obviously that's not a possibility now. Swift is a really, really good player, but I don't know that he fits really well with the Baltimore offense. I think someone like a Cam Akers or just like real life J.K. Dobbins would have been a much better pick here for Baltimore. But hey, Swift, I'm not taking away from it. Swift is a very good player, and maybe they could transform that offense a little bit more to involve the running game, running backs in the passing game. But we do have to move on. And with the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans originally took Isaiah Wilson, who is the worst pick in the first round by far. Out of all these dudes that aren't in the league anymore, this guy was the worst pick because at least someone like a Ruggs, Damon Arnett, or a Jeff Gladney, they played. This guy did not play at all. He kind of just went down to Florida and started rapping and dancing on cars and then just kind of blew all his money and left the NFL without saying all that much. So with the Titans pick, I can't believe that I get to say this, but at 29th overall, the Titans are going to get Jeremy Chin, and he would be a massive boost to their defense. And like I said, we made the comparison with Isaiah Simmons. I think he's been better than Isaiah Simmons at like to this point. And so to have someone like that on their defense, the defense that feels like it's constantly getting torched in the run game and in the pass game, he's a linebacker / safety hybrid. So I think that he could make their defense a lot more formidable and really transform that defensive unit. So it has to be the pick there, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we probably should have taken them a little bit earlier, but there's just so many good options here to take for teams that, I mean, yeah, he kind of fell a little bit, and that's crazy in my opinion. Still being taken, I think, 30, maybe 30 something picks before he actually was taken. So, we are acknowledging that he's been great, but yeah, I mean, Tennessee gets a steal there. Jeremy Chin is a great player. Like I said, a lot of other good options, but love that pick. Miami at number 30. There are also a lot of good options here for Miami. And like, I hate doing this. I mean, I don't think, no, I mean, I'm just going to go with my original pick. I mean, this player has not been as good as, they were their rookie season, but I definitely think they could make an impact. In real life, Miami took Noah Ibenogany with pick 30, who, like you said, I mean, he just hasn't really, he hasn't been that great. He was a guy who a lot of people thought would be good. He hasn't been that great. I'm going to continue to build up that offensive line for Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Onwenu, guard. I forget his first name. I don't know why, but
Michael Onwenu, who's been
Michael
awesome.
Onwenu. He was fantastic in his rookie season. He was fantastic. And this year he got benched. So yeah, he definitely is having a way worse year. He's still benched. He's still not playing right now, but there's just a lot of potential there. He's a good offensive guard. And I do think that Miami definitely needs to ramp up that offensive line a little bit. So taking him here at 30 isn't a bad pick in my opinion. I think he has potential there to be a good player still for them in the future.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Maybe if he's in Miami, he doesn't struggle as much in his sophomore year, and maybe he's still playing as one of the top offensive linemen in the league right now for Miami. And as we know, Joe Burrow has definitely struggled with protection in his rookie year, and he blew out his knee because of it. So with guys like Andrew Thomas and Michael Onwenu, I think that Joe Burrow easily wins Rookie of the Year, and we're talking about him as one of the top quarterbacks in the league this year. So with the 31st pick, the Minnesota Vikings originally took Jeff Gladney, a corner out of TCU, which certainly did not pan out, just like his buddy Jalen Reagor, but to an even worse degree because Jeff Gladney isn't in the league anymore because of some off-the-field issues that I'm not going to get into. So with the Vikings, we already had them getting Michael Pittman to solve their Justin Jefferson issue that they don't have him anymore. And again, similar to the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to have them taking a player that they took in real life just a little bit earlier. I'm going to have them getting Cam Dantzler, a corner, at 31st overall. Cam Dantzler had a very sneaky, underrated rookie season, and he's been pretty good for them this year. So I think that having him on their outside is going to be huge, and it has to be the pick here with that weak secondary.
Yeah, I like that pick. Yeah, Dantzler, Gladney, not the right pick there for Minnesota originally, in my opinion. And I mean, yeah, 32, Kansas City, tough one because, like I said, the players I originally thought have already been picked. So, I mean, there's a lot of directions we could go with this pick. In real life, the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who a lot of people were very excited about, who was being hyped up to be, the heir to Kareem Hunt, the guy who was going to come. And, after the Chiefs had some struggles running the ball, he was going to be the guy who was supposed to fix that, supposed to be one of the X factors of the offense. He just hasn't been that. I'm tired of people saying that he's a good running back. I mean, he just hasn't been good. He has some talent, but I would say as a starter, I would say he's average at best. I would probably put him below average in my opinion. And I really don't think that he is a first round pick or even a second round pick in my opinion. And so I'm going to give them another weapon though. And I wanted to go receiver. There is Chase Claypool still on the board. I just want to say that. I don't think he's the right pick here though. I just don't. Chenault is still on the board, and who, as much as I like him as a weapon, he hasn't been great in his sophomore season in Jacksonville. That may not be his fault, but I don't think the Chiefs need him necessarily right here either, with already having super dynamic receivers and, Travis Kelce, obviously. So I'm going to go a running back here. I'm going to take our third running back that we've drafted in this redraft. All three of them have been me. It's pretty funny. And I'm taking Antonio Gibson. This is a guy who can receive out of the backfield. He's very fast, very powerful. We've seen what he's done through 2 years in Washington. He's a good running back and definitely a better pick than Clyde ever was for Kansas City. I think that he would definitely improve that rushing game a little bit. They have a good O-line this year, so Gibson would definitely be eating right now if he was on the Chiefs. I like that pick way more than I like the Clyde pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to say, I love that pick. Antonio Gibson was a receiver coming out of college, out of Memphis. And so he obviously has these amazing route running skills and hands out of the backfield. And I think he fits a lot better with the Chiefs than some of the other running backs on the board, even if he isn't necessarily the best running back left on the board, like, period. I personally like Cam Akers the best out of all the running backs left, but I think that Antonio Gibson fits perfectly with the Chiefs, just like DeAndre Swift would have. And Clyde Helaire was just not the right pick there. As much as Andy Reid loved him, I think that it should have been Swift or Gibson.
Yeah, it definitely should have been. And I mean, yeah, they really missed out on getting a better running back there. It really stinks for them, but I mean, yeah, not much more to say about that. And that wraps up our 2020 NFL redraft, only the first round. We did not draft Chase Claypool in the first round, which is a little surprising. I definitely think he goes with the first pick in the second round to Cincinnati. Do you agree with that, Alex?
Yeah, because they drafted T. Higgins there, so him and Claypool are kind of similar.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. He'd go first in the second.
There's also, Kyle Duggar, who's been pretty good. We did not take him. There's some other guys who could have went in there, but I think we did a pretty good job. I like a lot of our picks. I hope you agree with the picks we've made. I mean, we babbled a lot, but, we're very passionate about this stuff, and I think we got a lot of it right. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun doing this video. Not this video, this episode. Sorry. It's been a lot of talking, getting a little tired, but yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing this episode. How about you, Alex?
I had so much fun doing this, and it's good to switch up from what we normally do.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely was a special. I definitely think that, this is a very enjoyable episode to listen to. If you're into this stuff, there's a lot of good players here, and this redraft will definitely change in a year or two, as the players progress, as they get better and worse. So yeah, that's something to just look out for. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this episode. Do you have anything else you want to say, Alex?
I have nothing left to add, Michael.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We talked for a while, but it was good talking, good debating. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next week.